Hi, this is David Farkas with Red Dot Forum. Today, Leica announced a brand new camera, the Leica CL mirrorless camera. I happen to have one right here, so we're going to do a quick unboxing, take a look inside, have a look at the camera itself, and go over some of the features and specifications. So stick around. So before we dive in and open this box, let's talk a little bit about what the Leica CL actually is. This is the latest camera from Leica. It features a lot of the same specifications as the TL2, which was released over the summer, and features either the same or very similar sensor, which is a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor. So that's going to be a 1.5 times crop, very similar to a lot of DSLRs and a lot of other mirrorless cameras on the market. So this is right in line with that. Bigger than Micro Four Thirds, but smaller than full frame. And in the Leica lineup, it serves a purpose of being an attractive entry point, giving real Leica quality. This camera is made in Germany, just like the SL, the TL, the Q, the M, the S. These are all real Leicas made in Germany, and the CL is no different. It has the same Maestro 2 series processor, again, that's found in the M10, in the SL, in the Q, in the TL2. So this is a nice, fast camera, very responsive, just like the other cameras. And unlike the TL2, it has a built-in electronic viewfinder. So on the TL2, you needed to add on the VisiFlex 020, which is a 2.36 megapixel EVF. The CL actually has it built in. So that's what a lot of people wanted, is a mirrorless, interchangeable lens camera in a small form factor with a built-in EVF. And that's pretty much what we get here. Unlike the TL2, it goes away from that really ultra-modern, super sleek, minimalist design, and the CL instead focuses on a more traditional, iconic Leica design. So that means top and bottom plates machined out of aluminum, leather cladding, little red dot. So you pick this thing up, immediately you know that it's a Leica. It has a lot of the same dimensions as actually the X cameras, going back all the way to the Leica 1, 2, and 3 screw mount cameras. Very, very familiar, very similar shape if you're familiar with those cameras. But of course, like the TL2, like the Q, and the M10, it features a lot of advanced technology in spite of its simple design. So we've got built-in Wi-Fi with actually a web portal sharing, which is new. We've got the high-resolution electronic viewfinder with a fast refresh rate, can shoot 10 frames per second, has a mechanical shutter that goes to 8,000 of a second, with an electronic shutter that goes to 25,000 of a second. So you can go and shoot your lenses, fast lenses wide open outside with no worries. Does 4K video, and really it's an advanced camera, but in a very simple and elegant and classic design. So why don't we take a look inside and see what we're dealing with. So to open the silver box, all we do is pull on the tab here on the front, lift the top of the box up, and it will fall open. And inside, it's revealed, we have the inner black box, and right in the top here, we've got the camera, which I'm gonna remove and set aside. And then underneath, we have two sets of drawers. We've got the top drawer, which again, I'm going to remove, set aside. And we have a bottom drawer, which I will also remove, and we'll take a look at each one. Okay, so starting off, we have the top drawer. And in here, we're gonna find all of our paperwork. First, we've got a 90-day membership to the Adobe Creative Cloud photography plan. Leicas are designed to work with Lightroom as the preferred processor, so I do highly recommend checking that out if you're not already an Adobe Creative Cloud user. If you are, then give this to someone to try out. And on the back is the TAN number, which you'll need with the serial number of the camera in order to register for the plan. Here we have our test certificate with the product number, the serial number, and the date of manufacture. So this one is actually manufactured November 1st, 2017. And we've got the person who inspected it and the person who packed it. Got your guarantee card. So it does come with a standard Leica warranty on this. And then we have our quick start guide in English. So this will take you through the basic features and functions of the camera. And we also have a quick start guide in German. And last, we have a compliance certificate. So you don't actually need to look at this. What's missing here? Well, there is no manual, at least not in mine. So you can go onto Leica's website, leica-camera.com, and download the mysterious manual in PDF. Moving on, we have the lower drawer. And in here is all of our basic accessories. And being Leica, they put them in these fancy little Leica bags. So I'm gonna take these out and we'll take a look at what everything is. Okay, so we've got the 4 bags laid out here. And I'll start with this one here. So just open up the bag. And what we have is the removable neck strap. This looks to be the same exact non-adjustable leather strap with the keyring style attachment that comes with the Leica Q. So if you have a Q strap, you'll be very familiar with this. Nothing fancy. Obviously, anything that can attach to a set of Leica lugs, the keyring style, you can certainly customize and choose your own strap. Next up, we have the battery charger. So this is a standard Leica charger that actually comes, exact same one that comes with the Leica Q, because both share the same battery. This style charger uses a figure 8 mains connection. So if you look here, you will see we have all of our included cables. So what we're gonna get out of here are 2 mains cords, one for the United States and one for Western Europe. Obviously, if you're traveling and you need something else, because it's a standard figure 8 style, you can go and get this for any country that you're visiting. Also, instead of having the full length cord, what I recommend is getting either a short cord that's like a 1-foot cord, or a little angle adapter cord, which are great because then you can convert this into a wall charger. And lastly, what we have is our battery. So the Leica CL does use the same battery that's found in the Q as well as the Velux Type 114, which is the BP DC12 battery. And you should get probably 300 or 400 images per charge on this battery with the CL. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera itself. If we open up the camera box, we can see the camera in there, wrapped in plastic. So here is the CL itself. Camera is just beautiful. It's all black. The top and bottom plates are made out of an anodized machined aluminum. The body itself is a magnesium alloy chassis covered in a leather cladding. So very attractive and, like I said, very Leica iconic. Simple, elegant, beautifully made. So on the front, let's take a little walkthrough. We've got our very important red dot, of course, the L mount, which can take TL lenses or SL lenses natively. You can also use adapters to use Leica R lenses or Leica M lenses. Looking at the back of the camera, we have our very large, very bright, very high resolution built-in electronic viewfinder. So this is a 2.3 megapixel electronic viewfinder with a 0.74 magnification and a pretty good eye point on it, meaning eyeglass wearers are going to be able to see the full image. And it's really crisp, really clear. Definitely, I'd say the experience is similar to using the Q or the SL viewfinder, which are obviously much higher resolution, but this looks more than 2.4 megapixel. It's really clear and crisp and great contrast. We have a minimal amount of buttons here. So you can see we've got our play on the top, a customizable, configurable function button, and our menu access button here. On the other side, we've got a 4-way direction pad with a center selection press. In the center, we have our 3-inch touchscreen. Works very much like the Leica Q or the Leica SL. So during playback, you can scroll through images, swipe left to right, and you can also double tap and drag to move around images. Very intuitive, real easy to use, and very, very responsive. On the top, we have our shutter release button, and we've got a on-off switch there. Very simple. We've got our 2 control dials, and in the center of each control dial are buttons. So depending on what mode you're in, these are configurable, at least one of them is. Generally speaking, this one is going to be your mode dial. So when you push this in, you'll see it actually displays program, aperture, manual, custom functions, movie mode. So that's how you'll select it. You just press once and give it a turn. Otherwise, this uses your shutter speed dial and your aperture dial in manual mode. If you're in full manual, if you're in aperture priority, this is going to be your aperture dial, and this will be your exposure compensation dial. And the information will read out right here on the screen. We've got our hot shoe. So it is compatible with any of the Leica system flashes, the SF40 or the SF64. Next to the large viewfinder, we have a diopter. And you do have to actually pull that out. It does pull out and click. You give it a turn, set your setting, and then lock it in, and it will not turn. So it's a nice safety feature. A lot of people had requested that we have a locking diopter adjustment, and we've got it here because they're really easy to move. On the base of the camera, we've got our centered tripod socket, and just very similar to the door on the Leica Q, we've got our battery and memory card slot here. All right, so now I want to throw a lens on here, and for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to grab one of my favorites here. This is a 23mm Summicron-TL aspheric. In full frame terms, this is going to be equivalent to a 35mm Summicron, which is an f2. It's got great close focus, beautiful out of focus areas and bokeh, just a really nice look and ridiculously sharp at all settings. On this camera, it balances beautifully. This is just a combination you want to go out and shoot with. Super light, super small, and the new 18mm pancake lens that was introduced is actually half this size. So it's going to be less than an inch, I think 0.8 inches, and less than 3 ounces. So super tiny, and also a great performer. That's going to be equivalent to a 27mm. But there is a wide range of options. So for instance here, I have an M lens with the M10 adapter, and I have here a 50mm Apo Summicron, which is one of the best M lenses made. And it also looks great with M lenses. So it's a really nice combination. Not too big. Some people might consider this a baby M. Obviously it's not full frame, but it does a great job. Focusing the lenses is really easy with the electronic viewfinder. You can get magnification using this dial here, the right-hand dial, when you're shooting with the M lenses. And if you have a 6-bit coded lens, like I have here, the adapter actually has an optical reader, so it'll read the 6-bit code and then transmit it to the camera. So it'll apply any necessary corrections for shading or distortion or anything like that, similar to how the M10 and the SL work. Likewise, speaking of SL, you can use this as a backup for your SL and use it with SL glass. So it looks a little crazy. Believe it or not, it works really well. This is a gorgeous lens, super high quality, and the optical image stabilization in the lens can be operated by the camera. So there is a choice in the menu to enable that or disable it. And getting a lens like this, you're able to shoot 3 or 4 stops slower than the recommended speed. So you can easily get handheld shots at 1/10 of a second with this lens and the CL. So it's kind of a nice go-to. Maybe not what I'd recommend for someone looking for a small light kit, but certainly if you have an SL and you want to get a CL as a backup, by all means, you can either get TL lenses or you can just use it as a backup and be able to use your SL glass with it. Okay, so I removed the plastic protecting film from the screen. Looks a lot nicer. And I'm gonna put a battery in so we can take a look at what we get. So the battery only goes in one way. Recommend putting it in the correct way. It will snap into place when it goes in right. Okay, so turning on the power, which is on the shutter release here. And the first time you turn it on, you're gonna be greeted with a startup animation. Leica's getting very fancy on us. But don't worry, it doesn't come on every time you turn the camera on. Just the first time, or if you end up resetting the camera for any reason. Set up, ready to shoot, and you can see our screen here, that's me. So it's pretty cool. One of the features I really like about the camera is how easy it is to assign these custom function buttons. So if you push and hold one of the buttons, you actually can see all the different options. And I can just scroll through, and let's say I want to set this as white balance. Choose white balance, and the next time that you just lightly tap this, it'll come up with your white balance controls here on the bottom. And these are usable either with the touchscreen or with the direction pad. And easy enough to change. I want to change back, put on auto. And if I want to change that setting to something else, let's say self-timer, and there you go. So now I've got easy access to a 2-second self-timer on that function button. And the same is going to be true of the function button on top. So if I long press, again, I'm greeted with different options. So here, I like to set it for ISO. And now if I tap it once, you'll see the ISO selection is up. And I can either use the direction pad, or I can use the dial itself to get me there, or the touchscreen. So it's pretty intuitive. You don't need to know a lot to figure this out. Basically, just knowing that you can long press to assign and then short press to activate. The button over here is not assignable. You'll see if I push and hold it, nothing happens. But if we take a look on top, this is actually our mode selector. So this screen is pretty cool. I didn't think I was gonna really like it at first, but I like that it gives you all your settings at a glance without having to look at the back of the camera. This is especially handy if you disable the viewfinder, or the LCD rather, because the camera will switch automatically by default, but you can actually set this up. What I like is the extended mode, EVF extended. So that's similar to what the SL is. So you can have the EVF do all behavior, including shooting, review, except the menu system, which shows up on the rear screen. So this is super, super nice if you wanna really make this into a seamless shooting experience where you don't wanna be bogged down. So you can set auto review to off or to 1 second rather than the default 3 seconds. You can set it to EVF on all the time. But I also found that by the time I got this up to my eye, it already switched over. So you can see how quickly the EVF transition is. Very, very fast. So that is a real pleasure from auto-changing EVF systems I've used in the past, that this one is probably one of the fastest I've seen to actually change back and forth. Really, by the time I lift the camera up to my eye, it's already there. So really nice. Some people might compare the CL to the Q. And I think what's interesting is the Q is actually a fair amount larger than the CL. The Q is already a pretty small camera, but do bear in mind it has to pack in here a full frame sensor and a full format coverage lens, and it's a fast lens, a 28-1.7. So while the lens doesn't come off, the camera and the lens are a little larger. On the back, because these both do have electronic viewfinders built in, you can see they are similar in terms of the direction pad. This CL is a little simpler in terms of the number of buttons, but the viewfinder position is similar. The Q is really classic in terms of having an aperture dial, focus ring, a shutter speed dial. The CL is still a little more on the modern side with having more, for instance, what the TL2 or the SL will have in terms of having non-marked dials that are multifunction rather than single function like the Q. Our next comparison is going to be to the M10, which is, I would say, truly an iconic Leica. So the M is what Leica is known for. I've got on here a 35-1.4, and the camera is larger than the CL, again, because this is a full format, full frame camera with a full frame lens, but the M is one of the smallest full frame cameras out there, especially the M10, which is very thin. And if we look on the back, what's really fascinating is just how similar these cameras are. So you can see that we have a very similar control layout, viewfinder positioning. So one might take away that this is a baby M, but again, looking on top, you can see that the control structure, again, this is more similar to the Q in terms of having all of your photographic controls labeled and single-use accessible. Next up, we're gonna compare the CL versus the X, which I think is a really fair comparison, probably the closest one, because look at the size of the cameras. They're almost identical. So they're pretty much the same height, the same thickness, the same width. Even the lenses are almost the same in terms of dimension, because this is a 35-1.7, this is a 35 f2 equivalent. And both are APS-C size sensors. And I think a lot of other people will say, gee, maybe the CL is almost like an X system with a built-in viewfinder and some of the latest features that Leica's introduced on the TL2, on the Q, on the M10. So that's a common theme. Leica is always going to take whatever technology they develop for other systems and incorporate it into their latest system. And our last comparison is going to be to its sibling, which is the TL2. So the TL2 and the CL share the same mount, they share the same sensor, the same processor, but they have very different kind of setups here. The TL2 is 100% touchscreen interface with 2 multifunction dials, and that's basically where the similarity ends. So if you wanted to use an electronic viewfinder, you do have to add it on. So this is the VisiFlex 020, and it can be added on to a TL2 or an M10. It's the same viewfinder. So the CL wins in terms of size with the viewfinder built in, but the TL2 has an advantage where you can actually flip the finder up for waist level shooting, which I personally really love. It also gives you a centered shooting position rather than off-center shooting position on here. The Leica CL is scheduled to start shipping at the end of November or early December 2017. Depending on when you watch the video, either right away when we post it, or if you're watching a little later, the camera will be either available for pre-order or just for order in general. Be sure to head to LeicaStoreMiami.com and you can either get the body by itself for $27.95, the prime lens kit with the CL and the new 18mm pancake lens for $37.95, or the CL with 18 to 56mm Vario kit for $39.95. I've got all three links in the description below the video, as well as right up here in the video itself. So if you just click the little eye icon, you'll see links right there. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. As always, you can always check out the latest Leica news, reviews, show reports, and more at red.forum.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.